Hi everybody! 大家好. I welcome you to Jade Palace Yamingo. My name is Yaya. The Hanfu revival movement has been such a huge presence online and on social media. So, let's get started. Hanfu, which translates to Han clothing. As the name states, Hanfu is the traditional style of clothing worn by the Han Chinese. Keep in mind that China is made up of several ethnic groups, like the Miao, Manchu, Hu, and so on. Han Chinese is the predominant ethnic group, making up around 92% of the general population. The Han ethnic group have also been the ones in power for several dynasties. There are only two confirmed dynasties that weren't ruled by the Han Chinese: the Yuan dynasty, ruled by Mongolians, and the Qing dynasty, ruled by the Manchurians. There are different types of Hanfu, as just saying Hanfu is too generalized. Instead, it's more of a blanket term that includes all traditional and historical Han clothing. Just like Western fashion styles would differ during different periods of time and dynasties. Hanfu of the Han dynasty were different than the Hanfu of the Tang, Song, and Ming dynasties. It's basically fashion trends, which means that styles of Hanfu, hair accessories, and makeup can also change within a dynasty. The Tang dynasty itself had several notable Hanfu looks. This shouldn't be surprising, as dynasties on average lasted 300 years. The type of clothing we wear now are nowhere the same as the fashionable clothes that were popular 300 years ago. That's the 1700s. I can't imagine our forefathers wearing loose pants, sweatshirts, and sneakers. Okay, so if it's the traditional costume of the Han Chinese, why do we have a revival movement? Prior to the start of the movement, Hanfu hadn't been worn for over 350 years. How did it disappear? Let me just clarify that Hanfu was still technically worn post-Qing dynasty, but just not as popular fashion. You would only see it during traditional rituals that were usually used more as tourism gimmicks. The history behind why Hanfu went out of fashion was due to the fall of the Ming dynasty, as the Ming dynasty was the last Han-ruled dynasty. As a way for the ruling group of the Qing dynasty, the Manchurians, to suppress the people, they forced the citizens to abide by Manchurian fashion, which included hairstyles and clothing styles. So let's fast forward and look into how the Hanfu revival movement started. It was around 2001 to 2003 where Hanfu slowly started to make a comeback. In 2001, netizens voiced their discontent seeing political figures wearing Tang suits, which are based on Manchurian garbs, instead of wearing Han ethnic-based clothing. Though the general agreed-upon start of the movement was in 2003, where a citizen, Wang Letian, was photographed wearing Hanfu, and it was publicized in a news article. The article sparked people to reflect upon the cultural identity of the Han Chinese, as the movement itself was only the initiative in a much broader effort to trigger a Han Chinese cultural renaissance. What also helped the Hanfu revival movement grow so rapidly was the rise of the internet. It allowed enthusiasts to connect via discussion boards like Baidu. As the movement grew, it was then mostly reclaimed by Gen Y and Gen Z women. 9 out of 10 Hanfu wearers are women. But this allowed Hanfu to move from subculture to popular culture. Additional growth factors that helped the movement was the increased popularity of wuxia and xinxia dramas, martial arts and fantasy dramas. Early wuxia dramas based on well-known novels like Chinese Paladin in 2005 was a change in the normally serious historically based dramas. Historical dramas that the younger generation couldn't exactly get into because of how deep the storyline went. Wuxia dramas were more light-hearted, or at least had a storyline that was very engaging. Eventually, this genre grew and developed, giving us xianxia, or fantasy dramas, which had storylines that revolved around immortals or magic, like 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. People began to cosplay the costumes in the dramas, leading to more younger generations to research into how to make these garments and what they were based on. There are definitely preferred dynasties and styles that are more often seen, with the Tang, Song, and Ming dynasties being the most popular. People are most attracted to the extravagance of the Tang dynasty, the elegance of the Song dynasty, and the grace of the Ming dynasty. Though in recent years, we have seen a rise in other dynasties as well, such as the Wei Jing period. While the movement itself does try to be as historically accurate as possible when it comes to dynasty garments, keep in mind that what we wear cannot reflect everyone in that time. Different social classes wore different garments in ancient times, so the styles and looks that we recreate tend to be those of the upper social class to royalty, as they were the ones that are most depicted in artifacts, because they can afford to commission them. The movement itself is not without its controversies, as there have been many debates between its participants, some based on opinions and some based on facts. The first of which being how some members of the community were against Xinxia Hanfu being considered real Hanfu, saying how these outfits were too stylized and not at all historically accurate, based on fabric, cut, and color. While these outfits are not historically accurate, they're still historically inspired. A tentative middle ground has been reached, and as long as these outfits are labeled as Xinxia Hanfu and not historical, people tend not to care as much anymore. Second was the question of whether qipao and cheongsams can be considered Hanfu. Again, early on in the movement, people will wear Qing dynasty garbs and call it Hanfu, which caused backlash in the community. Remember, the initial spark of the movement was because politicians wore suits based on the Qing dynasty and not the Han Chinese. And also remember that the Qing dynasty were not Han Chinese, but Manchurian. So I think that makes sense, and general consensus is that no, it's not considered Hanfu, but it is still Chinese historical fashion, which means that no, qipao and cheongsams are not Hanfu, as they are modernized versions of Manchurian fashion. How has the Hanfu movement influenced China and the rest of Asia? It's pretty awesome, actually. What's so important about it is that it's allowing the citizens to regain their cultural identity and move on from the colonization that happened in the past. Perfect example is actually the qipao. Again, it's inspired by the banner dresses of the Manchurian, and it's only considered the Chinese national clothing because these are the dresses that the Westerners saw when they came in the 1900s. Our identity weren't actually our own and were kind of forced upon us. Reclaiming the Hanfu is reclaiming our real cultural identity. Seeing this growth in China has also inspired other Asian countries to start their own movement in reviving their cultural and historical styles pre-Western colonization. Not just in the mainland, but we've also been seeing the Hanfu movement grow in the Western market as well, as Western-born individuals of Chinese descent are starting to wear more Hanfu to feel connected to our origins. As of today, social media like Douyin, TikTok, YouTube, Baidu, and Weibo continue to play a major role in encouraging Hanfu discussion and content. Hanfu models like Xiao Meng, Tang Yuanqi, and my favorite, Hanfu Nainai, inspire Hanfu enthusiasts with their unique and eye-catching content. Years ago, the only way that you can get Hanfu was either making it yourself or specialty shops. But now, both physical and online stores make it so easy for anyone of different income to grow their collection. I have a Teespring if you'd like to support the channel. I have a lot of super cute designs that I'm really proud of, so check it out if you can. Link is in the description below. So what do you guys think? Have you seen the Hanfu revival movement around your area? Leave a comment down below because I would like to know. You can also let me know what topics you would like to see me cover in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to Jade Palace Yamingong. I would very much appreciate it. And until next time, 再见啦，拜拜。